Okay. So, Prokofiev's Fifth Symphony. Second movement, it's really soft. Sorry. in the actual orchestra, you don't have to be so soft. So you don't have to be like too soft when you actually play it with the actual orchestra. But in the audition, you kind of have to play it pretty soft-ish. I wouldn't say you had to play it like Scheherazade soft or like maybe Kiji soft. So, okay, so I'm just gonna completely walk through the entire excerpt, okay? And then after I do that, then we'll talk about roles. So, all right, let's give this maybe a try. Okay, so the excerpt that is usually asked starts at 37, second movement, and it starts off pianissimo with a triple stroke rough. Cool? First things first, and the same thing when I talked about Kiji, you want to establish what kind of sound and what kind of stroke pattern you want for the triple stroke rough. So, if you saw the other snare drum rants, one of the things I used to do was to start off with just playing it loud. Okay? So I want to play the loud version the same way that I want the soft version to sound. So do I want the soft version to sound like that, or do I want it to sound like more like that? So obviously you have to listen to the piece first so you can get the character, so you can get the sound concept. So it's like in a waltz. Da 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 dee da dee dee da 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 dee da da dee da da dee dee da 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 dee da dee da. You know, I'm probably in the wrong key, but you know, it's not like, depending on how you feel it, it's going to sound that way. So if you're thinking da 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 dee da 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 dee, you know, if you're thinking about dee da da, which is totally fine, you know, so it's going to sound that way. If you're thinking da 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 dee dee da 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 dee, that's when the tambourine comes in. Dee da. If you're thinking about it that way, it's going to sound like that. Cool? So I tend to think of in those bigger beats, da, da, ja, ja, da, ja, 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 za, za. You know, so I think about it in bigger beats. But as you practice this slow, you should probably put it da, da, ja. You know, you probably put it on every beat. So it just depends on what you want, okay? So speaking of, let's put the metronome on and give this baby a try. So first of all, you're going to establish what kind of roughs you want. So that includes the triple stroke roughs, or the grace notes in general. Triple strokes, the duples, and then the flams. And then when we get to bar 2, I'll show you what I do for that. Okay, so da. All right, hopefully you can hear that. All right, so what's the rough going to sound like? So I like it really open, especially at this speed, and because of the distance of the audience. So you want to hear da-da-da, not that, okay? Also, look at the motion that you have, all right? So I'm very up, cool? Which means I have to come back down for the next one. Or do I want that? So do I want that or take that risk? So my natural instinct, this is why you do it slow. What is your natural instinct, and will it cause you problems? Okay, because the speed, if I'm thinking about doing that, it has to be that every time. And honestly, I was able to do that for a while, but I haven't practiced so long, so now I have to rely on just having it just like that. So up, 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 down. Because because it completes, because the left hand, my left hand, or the doubled hand has to complete its upstroke. Okay. Cool. It doesn't have to be that extreme. I'm just doing extreme. Okay. Except my left hand is very extreme, as you can see. My natural tendency is to do that. I mean, you could do, but you have to really push out that double to get the crescendo. So you have to think about the crescendo of the notes, the actual sound, and the motion. Is that motion too much or too little for what you're going to have to run into later on, okay? So find the simplest way that you can get the cleanest and the most relaxed version of the triple stroke rough. And the softer you go, the more you relax. And basically your motions just go like that. Cool. So instead of like that, it's going. And you can't really see it, but I'm using a lot of forearm to initiate the stroke, to initiate the first two, and I use the wrist for the doubled notes and the last note. Cool. So I'm going basically forearm, forearm, wrist up, wrist. Cool. So forearm, forearm, wrist up for the double, wrist. Honestly, it might be wrist up. Yeah, honestly, I think the energy is coming from my forearm because I'm such a wristy player. So if you're gonna do it with forearm, I would suggest you do forearm for the lift, forearm, double note with your wrist, forearm. So you get that up down and that. And the forearm for the double note is going to start at playing position for your follow through. So basically you're starting at playing position with the forearm. You drop the forearm for the first double, lift with the wrist for the second, down. You know, basically. So forearm to start the stroke. You get the idea. Forearm, playing position forearm, doubled note, forearm. Cool. That's a lot of explanation for. So, but if you break it down that way, it makes putting it together so much easier because you're basically teaching your body to do the individual strokes in the most exaggerated version. What you know? So when it comes out. You just have to relax into it. Cool? Buy the book. It basically talks you through how to do that yourself without having to go like, how do I do, you know. Cool? All right, so you establish first this. All right? Now, that's just the first measure. I'm sorry. Second measure, you have the triple stroke rough into a flam. How do you want the flam to sound? Okay? Do you want the flam like... Is it on your right hand or is it on your left hand? Okay. When things are in waltzes, you usually have this lilt to it. So you have like down, up, down, up. So the third beat has the light, for me personally, the third beat has the lightest up. Down, up, down, down, you know? So which hand is going to produce that lightness? Only if you want to play it this way. Again, for me, this is more of a waltzy type thing. So the third beats are always a little lighter in color and character. So which hand is going to give you that lightness? Okay, so you can do it with both. I know a lot of people who stick it with their right hand. Again, this is in reverse. So I stick it with my right hand, or people do it with their right hand. Okay, but then you have to think about going from the right hand to, you know, the triple stroke rough. Okay, so How do you do that? You have the triple stroke rough. Oh, if you're playing it this way, your left hand is going to be up, which means your right hand is already down, which is the perfect position for a left hand flam. So, had I studied this a little bit longer, I probably would have played it that way for this audition. I don't think I actually played it for this audition. But if I had to play this for this audition, I would have did that instead. Instead of having to go the triple stroke rough, then back into a right hand flam, you know? That's an extra motion. Now if you're going to stick it that way, you need to practice it that way. So you have, which I'm sticking it right, left, left, right, switch, flam. Right, right. Switch, flam. Switch, flam. Switch on beat 2, you know. Now, me personally, I don't like doing that anymore. I used to do it all the time, okay? I don't like doing it anymore because I like simplifying my motions. Since I'm already in the position, I'm already in position for the left-hand flam. So I would suggest, if you're playing a right-handed right, left, left, right, triple stroke rough, just stay there and just drop the flam. Because then you're already in position for it. Cool? That's the second measure. All right? And if you want to stick it with right, 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 then do right, switch, right, right, switch, right, right, switch, right, right. Okay? And then you have to do practice the flam, resting, triple stroke rough, flam, triple stroke, flam, triple stroke. So this is how I break. I isolate all of these little things and then put them together. Cool. So got that. Oh, look at that! It happens twice. So you did it. All right. So that's what I suggest for those bars. Okay. So. Another thing, making it harder or more difficult, so doing doing that. And really the other thing is, the only way you're going to be able to do this is if you have those fine muscle control, okay? Especially when you want to start accentuating certain things at certain times. So like, you want to get the downbeats louder than the... Cool. This is why I suggest using the forearm to give it a little bit more weight. What's that spacing like? Cool. It's these itty-bitty details that make it really, really cool, okay? So you gotta get the spacing of the triple stroke rough, and what's that spacing for the flam? To make sure you don't get like that. And if you want to practice spacings, you can get the book. I talk about spacings a lot. And how to control that space. Cool? Alright, you get the idea. Alright, now we're into double rough, the two regular rough. Cool? So how do you want that to sound? Now this is the one where I do it all right hand, because my doubled hand is already in the energy of a double. Cool? so I don't have to chain. But if you want to do it that way, do it that way, you know? So you can do it that way. Especially if you want to, so if you want to keep everything as super consistent as possible, if all your third beats are on your left hand and you want to make it do that every single time, then incorporate that into your sticking choice. If you can't, when you can't do it that way, make sure whatever hand is on that beat sounds exactly the same as the previous beats, in the same character and the same color, okay? That really works wonders when you play Bach on marimba, because when you do have to switch a mallet, you have to incorporate that weight and that color and that character when you use a different mallet for a line, or else it's going to sound different. Cool? All right. All that to say, just make sure it sounds like da, da, you know? All right, so that's the first phrase. Now, we need to learn what the actual phrase is. So we got dee, da 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 dee da dee, da 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 dee, dee, da 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 dee da, da 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 dee da, da da da. Cool. So if you know the piece, it's pretty, you know, pretty mellow. Da 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 dee da da da. Dee da da da. Has that little thing going on. Dee da 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 dee da is going away. Gets quieter still. Cool. So, what's it going to sound like? We got the initial start. Wrong stick. We got the initial start. You know, and that's the loudest one. So where is that? That is 4 bars of 438. So that one is the peak, personally. If you listen to the piece, that part is the peak. Cool? So you get a crescendo, rut, jut, jut. So you got, starting at 37, you got mellow, mellow, bluff, mellow. So that one you can show a mini phrase of just how the phrase is going to go. Then you do the same thing, jut, jut. And then the next 2 bars, jut, to get crescendo, and then 4 bars of 438, that's the peak, okay? So first bar, second bar into the third, so that's a little phrase. Then 4th bar into the 5th, then 6th, then 7th, and that's the 4th bar before 38, and that's the big peak. And then you diminuendo the 2 roughs, zut, zut, and the last rough before 38 is the softest, okay? Got all that? So if you have a pencil and you have the sheet in front of you, the first 2 bars of 37, put a phrase mark. Second 2 bars, phrase mark. The next 3 bars, phrase mark. And then the last 3 bars before 38, phrase mark. And that's a diminuendo phrase. Cool? For me personally. A lot of people do it this way, and it makes it makes perfect sense because that's what the orchestra is doing. So, and basically the other phrases are like that in some form or fashion. It's just matching the phrase markings for what's going on at that time. But normally what's going on, basically the last 3 bars before the next big, next big rehearsal number, they diminuendo, okay? So you can think of it like, it starts at pianissimo, and the last note you're going to play of that phrase is like triple P. The next portion is at piano. The last phrase you're going to play is at pianissimo. Mezzo piano is the next big phrase, and then, you know, it does the thing. Cool? Hey, James! All right, so, next one. Into 38, you got a rough, into a mezzo piano. Cool? So this is why I do it with my all right, because my left hand, again, is already in the double energy. So I just keep it there so I don't have to switch energies, all right? And the thing is, you want to make sure that these 2 dynamics are different. The first phrase from 37 is at pianissimo, the next one's at piano. So you want to make a very clear distinction, okay? So I would even overshot it, you know? Cool. So that's basically mezzo piano. So you can't, you know, just getting you used to making that change. So so I would practice first the rough and a louder that. My triple stroke roughs are not good today. Cool. And again, I use a lot of four to pull. Cool. Ooh. So I would practice that transition. Cool. So rough and really exaggerated. And if you're looking at me, you're like, Josh, your hands are in the position for that. I know. But if I was actually better at, I might actually do. So if I want to be super efficient, I will do that. Maybe I'll start doing that. Okay. Okay. All right. There, I did it. Okay. So we're at 38 now. You get the idea. 38. Same thing. So how are you going to phrase those? Jat, 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 blat, dat, dat, jat. That's the way I would do it. Because you don't, the other thing, something I learned at DePaul from Cliff Colnut, never not a phrase. Like if you got three things in a row that are the same thing, you need to phrase them some way. You don't want to have jat, jat, jat. That's just boring. So you want to have like jat, 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 you know? But then you have to think like what's going on in the orchestra. Let's see. Okay. I wish I had the song. You know, it's trying to do it like super fast. Not good. Okay. But basically, what I would do, I would phrase up those three, and the answer is the flams. Okay. So phrase, question mark, answer. Da 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 da. So you have a couple things you can do. You can phrase the first three measures of 38 going up, and then come down with the flams. Okay? And then you're back to the rough. Zut, 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 blah, zut. So you could do that because that's kind of what's going on in the orchestra a little bit. So with the next two bars, with the two roughs, you can go rough, 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 flam, rough. So you basically do the same thing twice. If you don't want to do that, you can do a mini phrase with the two roughs and do an isolated phrase with the triple stroke rough flam to the triple stroke rough. So you can go like rough, 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 flam, rough. So you can do like that. So it just depends on what you think will sound the best and what makes the most sense. Me personally, I just do another version of the three phrase to a one bar, three phrase to a one bar, and you know. Then you have the two roughs again, where you diminuendo, and you have that thing again. Cool? So I would play that. This is the right way? Yeah. Cool? So you have like rough, 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 flam, 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 rough, rough. Cool? So I diminuendo the two roughs that are isolated, and then crescendo into and I crescendo all of those. So now we're into 39. The other thing I should mention, do not play this too fast. The only danger with playing it in a waltz feel, you might think about so you think think about that. No, it's dee da 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 dee da da dee dee da 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 da. It's a very like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's like this. Dee dee da 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 dee dee. You know, it's a very slow waltz, okay? So you don't want to think about dee da 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 dee da dee da jut jut, you know. So just make sure you play with the metronome and make sure it's the right. You know, think about that. All right, get the idea. Okay. All right, so now we're at 39. Here is basically the loudest version. Sorry. So I do that again. It's the same phrase as when you did at the beginning of the 37. So I do up, up, down, down. Now it's on beat 2. How does beat 2 sound? Again, if you think about it in waltz, are you going to put it down lighter? Or are you going to have the same sound? Jut, jut, jut. Okay? I do the lighter version. Zut, 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 da, da, zut. Cool? Because that's what sounds better to me. So. You know? Cool. So, talking about that, 39 is the same things we've been doing. Same thing. Crescendo, down, down. Cool. And then next one, as loud as the beginning of 39, a little lighter for beat 2, and then louder, lilt, lilt, down. So. And if you're going to do the same thing you've been doing between 37 to 38 and 38 to 39 with that diminuendo, when you get to the mezzo forte, the flam before should be a little lighter. And you have to cushion that mezzo forte so it's like, you know. You know, so it's mezzo forte within reason, you know. Again, you want to have those established dynamics, but you don't want to like go too crazy, you know. You don't want to do that. Okay, so cool. And then the diminuendo, I like keeping it the same dynamic for the second beat and then diminuendoing more for the third. So you can still have that lightness, but don't lose too much of the dynamic too quickly. I know it's only 2 notes, but that's what I think about. Okay, and then that's usually where they ended, right at 40. If you get past 40, you just do the waltz. Then you can go out to the ham, you know, Then you can bring it out, you know. So that's 4 bars of 443. You do dee da da. Oh, dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da da. And I do that. Okay. I never had to play that in an audition. It's always the soft stuff because, you know, that's easy. There's an accent there, so a little pop, but not, you know, that. Okay. And again, it's in the same character as the whole thing. You don't want to have like, you know, light. You know, My roughs are all over the place today, sorry. There we go. There we go. Cool. Then the next 44, 2 accents. And I know there's no accent there, but if you're thinking about what's going on in the music, the phrases are a little uneven for the natural, I guess, for what you would think would happen, which is what's so cool about this piece. Okay, so that one is a little different phrase. I'll let you figure that out. That's 44, between 44 and 45. And then when you get to 45, some people and some conductors like an accent there. So it's not written in this version, and I haven't seen it written in many other versions. But some people like an accent. Oh, this was actually asked on Cleveland, I think. Got this whole thing. I don't even know if I played. I did play it, I'm pretty sure. Oh, it's coming back to, you know? Okay, so when you get to 45, you're playing loud, obviously. Cool. So you have to navigate your body to get back into that piano phase. And if you want to do that, you should read a book. I keep doing all these shameless plugs, but it's really easy to go from So you have to get from to here. So how do you get from, if you watch one of my other live streams, it should be that easy. Cool? Cool. That's the second movement. Does anybody want me to talk about the last? I'll just talk about it. Might as well. Then you get back to, yeah, third movement. That's easy. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So normally, the third movement they just ask 111 to the end. The other thing they could ask is obviously for you to count 106 to the end. I hadn't seen that in a while or ever, honestly. Dee da 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 dee. You know, you know, okay, so we get okay, so yeah, I guess they would even start earlier than that. So, okay, let's say, yeah, they'll start at like 107, and then have you count basically when you get to the bass drum at 108. 2. Ba 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 da 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 cha da 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 jing jing ba 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 da 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 ji da 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 dee da 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 ba 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 dee da 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 cha da 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 da. That's softer. Da da da. again, you gotta get the music in your head, or else you can't do that. And you can't have as much fun with it. So, bass drum comes in at 108. Ba 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 ba. Let's see. Jing, 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 jing. Okay, so 108. The triangle comes in before you, and 3, and, or basically, if you're thinking about it in 4. Or if you're thinking about it like and 2 and 1, you're thinking about it in halftime. Sorry, think about it in halftime. And. Cool. Again, if you're playing things that are the same, you need to phrase it. Jut, 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 da 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 da. Jut, blah, blah. Dig it out. Dig it out. Dig it out. Dig it out. Jut, jut. Okay. So. This is 108 again, all right? So you got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 2, 1, flam, going to the crescendo, going to the accent, okay? 2. Now those, I actually do it the same. Yep, yep. Because that's what's going on in the orchestra, cool? Jut, jut, jut. It's not really a phrase. It's more like Dutch, yes, yes, you know. Da dee da 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 da. Crash cymbal, yeah. Ba da da dee da. Here it comes to get at 110 and. Yeah. Da 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 da. Crash cymbal. Now that's a forte. Cha da 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 da. Okay, so I would follow the bass line here. Dee da da da. Okay, that's the higher line. But when you get to the next part, when you get to that, I'll get to there. So the first, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Dee da da da. Okay, so the first 3 bars of 111, they crescendo at the end. Dee da da da. And that's the 4th bar, where you just have 8th notes, okay? So the first 3 bars of 111, they crescendo-ish, and the last bar, you crescendo a lot into that 8th note, okay? Da, 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 happens again. Da, dee, da, ya, da, da. Okay, so you got the next thing where you have the next 3 bars, first 2 you crescendo, and then the 3 accents, I crescendo all those, okay? Da, da, da. That's where I say follow the bass line. Da, da, da. Dee, da, dee, da, and follow the bass line again. Da, 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 da. 112. Cool. And then I will follow. Dee, da, 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 dee, dee, da, da, dee, dee, da, crash, crash. Unfortunately, you don't have anything there. You can just whatever. Cool. Okay, so 111. Get the idea. Cool. Crash, crash. Then you roll. Ba, dee, da, dee, da, ba, Cool. The 113, just, you know, if you do this, if you do that correctly, this is going to be easy. How do you do that? Buy the book. Okay. No, it's just basically you're relaxing. Again, if you can go from here to here and completely let go of all tension, you're prepared for that. Cool. You have 4 bars to do it. You should be able to do one on the last beat. You're done. You're already relaxed. You don't need the other 4 bars. You're just like, okay, well, let's get this over with. How do you want that roll to sound? It can be super chill, or you can have a lot of energy. Cool. I like the 5s personally. Cool. Prokofiev 5. So, yeah. Anybody got questions for that? I kind of went over the top with all the explanations, but yeah. Okay. Please ask if there's any questions about that or anything about what I just talked about. I'm going to now talk. Oh, sticking. Oh, doing. What's your thinking behind 111 sticking? Oh. Okay, I'll get back. Yeah. We'll do rolls, I promise. Okay. So, the sticking for. The one thing I didn't talk about was the sticking of the last movement. Sorry, Rich. Rich. I'm thinking about what's his name. Okay, so. Okay. Huh? Oh, dude, hey! Hey, Tony! Okay. All right, so 111. So I want everything okay, so I want everything to kind of go from beat 1 to beat 2. So those are my mini phrases. Okay? So what's going to do that? N2 and 1. Or E and 2. So that's what I do. Then everything else is, that's the basic phrase that I want. Then everything else is like, okay, I stick in the 16ths basically. Okay, so it just depends. If you want to keep everything. You can do that. Like, if you're thinking about. You can do that. The thing is, it might be too soft for some places. So then you gotta. So then you have to push it out a little bit, but that might change the character of the sound and the color a little bit, so then you have to think, okay, should I alternate it? So then you have to think, okay, beat 2 is going to go up, beat 1 is going to go down, right? Basically. You're going to go up to 2. So you got to practice that. Because if you want it to sound really fluid, you have to be able to do it alternating all the time. So if you don't want to have like you can do it that way too. The only thing is mean, you can make that really interesting. But it's really hard doing it with, you know? So that's why I alternate. And then when you want really intense versions, like when you get to, what is that? The consecutive accents, the da 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 da. Then you can put it all on one hand, because then that intensity is warranted. So now you can go like that, or cool. So I'm either doing alternate for the eighth notes, always left, right, going into the downbeat, into the axis. That's basically what's happening. Or so then all the consecutive accents, I just punch it. Cool. So basically, from 111 to 112, I'm alternating, except for the ones that are consecutive with accents. You know, that kind of thing. The other thing is, I notice sometimes when my left hand isn't strong enough, so then I have to either overcompensate. Sorry. Too. Depends on what you want. Cool. Okay. Yeah. And then the 112, I'm just alternate. Cool. And I'm just crescendoing all those. Cool. So, at the stage that I'm at right now, I just let everything come as it comes. So I'm just thinking about, is it clear? And is the phrase clear? And are the rhythms accurate? So I don't necessarily, if I feel like one day, then I'll do that. If I feel like one day, then I'll do that. Just, you want to have those options for when you're basically getting the options for when you're in a situation where your body can't actually accomplish one way, but can accomplish a different way. So let's say one day that my right hand doesn't feel like it can go. Now I have that option. Or, it actually wasn't bad. You get the idea. Cool. My left hand's a lot more intense with its downstrokes than my right. So if I want that, then I should be able to do that. Cool. Since my left hand is really sharp. Get the idea. Cool. Okay, then the 113, I'll just do 5. Last one, I triple stroke. Cool. So the 111, I start with my right hand probably. thing I do right. So I'll do that. Cool. So I'm just kind of going with whatever my body feels like. Oh yeah, I could do that, or I could do that, or can't really do that. I can't really do that. So. Get the idea. All right, back to rolls.